News just in, balance changes for the Eternal card game. Listen here whilst we regale you the tale of Set 1.
Okay, so bloody typical. I was spending the day in the office today. I was going to do some recording, get some videos done. Managed to get one in, and then I get a little pipe up on Discord that just says, "Oh, there's something happening you probably want to know about." I'm like, cool. There is something I want to know about. So there's balance changes, and it looks like I bring back a couple of things from Set 1, actually. So, long and short of it is that there's not been many aggressive strategies. I'd probably say that's something to do with both Hailstorm and Vara, because imagine trying to play like a load of 2-1s and your opponent just like Hailstorms, and you play like, oh, cool, I'm going to play something after that. And they have like Agipot Smuggler and then Vara. It's like, you're never getting in. It's like, never going to make any meaningful ground. And even in other decks like Praxis, they have not only Sandstorm Titan anymore, but also Sandstorm Titan and Moonstone Vanguard. Like, you're just dead. Like, how are you ever getting in? It's just not happening. So, to sort of boost those aggressive strategies up a little bit, but not just Huru Flyers, which is what we've seen over the past couple of days, it looks like we're getting some old buffs. So, Agipot Indicator, it's been 2 SS for quite a while now. Maybe it's been like, maybe it's like a year or something. It feels like it's been a very long time. So Agipot Indicator was like a really important card in like the sort of bigger, the meatier Stone Skyro deck. So not just the ones that were just like mono 1-drops, like Knife Jack and all that sort of nonsense, but ones that are actually a little bit more meaty. And trying to finish their opponents off with like Flame Blast, which is something we'll come to later. But Agipot Instigator now only being 2 Shadow means you can probably play it in other decks. So I think now you can play it alongside Teacher, because you've got Teacher who's like the double time. There's no longer that tension where it's like, well, I've got a double time unit that's really good, and I've got a double shadow unit. I can only play one. Now you get to play both. It also means it's probably easiest to play in like an Argenport deck, which, as its name says, it is an Argenport card, I guess. But I'm overall kind of happy that Agipot is back, because we get to play with this, and it's a really powerful effect, and it makes you think a lot during the games, because it's like, well, I can attack in, and I've got lethal if my opponent blocks like this. It's going to make it really hard to think about combat math. I really like it. It's just a good card. And then Coach Paladin, this is, I think it's been like since beta, this has been a 2-1. It's been a 2-2. I don't think it's as relevant now because no one's playing like Temple Scribe or just like random 1-1s anymore, but I usually would snap off any block. If my opponent's attacking with a Crown Watch Paladin, I want to snap that block off. I'm just going to put my Initiate the Sands or like any 1-1 that's got like a grid and just put it in the way. Now it makes it a little bit more difficult because it's the 2-2, which means it also, the additional point of toughness means maybe it scales better with things like Palace if you want to play Crown Watch Paladin in that kind of deck. Just the additional point of toughness is less relevant because you've got Aegis, but it means you don't get popped by like whatever global effect and then killed with like a snowball. It's like Hailstorm the board, snowball comes down and kills Crown Watch Paladin. Oh, it could happen the other way around anyway. It doesn't really matter, does it? You know, just like I guess you just snowball it first and then Hailstorm. But that way it has to be like on the same turn cycle. But I don't know. Desert Marshal as well. This is a combo card, Silence's unit. I think Silence is really powerful, especially if people are going to be playing stuff like Vargo or just like Flyers in general, just be able to take them out of the sky. Desert Marshal being a 2-2, again, we're not going to be trading for Vara's favour and snowballs on our units as often now. And also, they're going to be able to survive through Black Sky Hammer, which is pretty good because if Aggro gets good, then Black Sky Hammer is just ridiculous. Wakara, I don't think this is very important. Again, this was like a set 1 card. I think really early on, this was 2-2. It was a 2-1, I think, as soon as like Armory was a thing. This was more like in Armory, really. There were some people who played this with like, there's the Echo weapon you can get in time, where it's just like, I think it's a 1-cost +1/+1, and it's got Echo. Cards like that for Recano Arts are really interesting. Maybe Recano Arts would be nice if you were able to play something like a Quartermaster or Quarter Maiden, as we'd call it, just being like slightly bigger, less incidental things that'll just kill it, which is just really good. And then Champion of Chaos, which is like the really big one because now it gets +1/+1 for each ability, was +1/+0. So this opens up a lot of things. So Champion of Chaos, a lot of things kill it now. You have to be mindful of that. It's not like the good old days where you had like this really interesting struggle with your influence where you'd be like, so I want to play around Suffocate and Torch against this match, or you'd be like, I want to play against Vanquish in this match, so you just like play Influence slightly differently, so you maybe wouldn't get the buff until it was your turn. Now for things like Defiance and just general other things that even Rindra's Choice will kill it, so it's a lot less vulnerable, but I think it's probably fine now, because now this is sort of the thing that you were missing in that Stone Sky mid-range deck, which is just like a powerful play on free, because like your Merchant was perhaps like the most medium statted, like it's got Deadly, so it's really good at like being defensive, but you didn't really have anything aggressive. And Champion of Chaos is also really good at pressuring sites because you've got the Deadly and the Overwhelm. And just being a 5/5 is just huge, because it will be most of the time if you just like, you're playing a mid-range deck and you're actually just playing like your 12 dual influence power, you should be able to get away with it. And I think this is going to lead to something a little bit later on as well. Well, actually the next section, which is what I really want to see Champion of Chaos for. So Champion of Chaos as well, traditionally in a deck with like things like Bandit Queen, but also maybe even a little bigger. So it's got like things like Impending Doom and Soulfire Drake. Soulfire Drake are probably not playing anymore, but you know, there's just like the assertive deck. So before Argenport was just like the chunky mid-range aggro deck, it was like Stone Scar. That was a thing you could do with that, because you get to play all these chunky threats like Instigator's a 3/3, then this was like a 4/4 or a 5/5 on turn 3, and then you get to play like Impending Doom. You're just playing like really chunky threats that are just going to beat your opponent down, and each one is really powerful by themselves, and they don't really need like a huge synergy. So like with some of the other Stone Scar decks, which I didn't really like, were the ones that were just playing like loads of small units, like playing a 2/1 on turn 1 and then 2 more 2/2s on turn 2. It just really wasn't for me. But Champion of Chaos was like the sweet spot that I like, because if I'm playing an aggressive deck, I want a powerful one. And also, now that this doesn't get swept up by Hailstorm, it just feels so much better. So you can have a curve of like 1 drop into 2 drop into 3 drop, but Hailstorm doesn't just like wipe out all of that good work before you even get to attack. And that's just great. You're going to at least have something left over. So next up we've got the other boss, which is Flame Blast. It's still triple fire, but now it's 1 cost. So it's back to where it was, where I think basically it would be deal 1 damage plus 1 for each power spent. So if you spent 3 power, you do 3 damage. It went up to 2 triple F when Power Surge got changed, so it was like for 3 power you deal 2, which isn't super efficient. But Flame Blast, maybe it's still good, you know, but this is another buff where maybe it's just like reminding us that these cards exist and we can play them, and we probably should be. If your opponent is locking up the board, they're playing stuff like Moonstone Vanguards, you can't effectively attack in. You could just all like blast you for 6, you know, blast you for 7, you're dead. That's a very familiar play pattern. But with the Waystones, it's also not quite as powerful, because your opponent can gain 2 life randomly. Well, not randomly, but you can not plan for this, that they're going to gain 2 life because they've got the Waystone, the Time one, or they can gain Face Aegis because they've got the Cobalt Waystone. So also you can play this with Pharaoh, so your opponent can't Face Aegis, and that's maybe interesting. Maybe that's a new big version of Stone Scar you could play, where you're just like, you're going to play like a bunch of deadly powerful units. So like, if you go like Champion of Chaos, attack your opponent, and then play a Vara, like that's going to be really rough. But you've got like a really powerful board then of just deadly units, so you can switch back to being defensive if you need to be, because you've got these big deadly units. Also, you can just keep being aggressive because you've got these big units, and it's going to be very hard for your opponent to take them down because they've got a lot of toughness. So if your opponent wants to kill you 5/5 and you know they've got 2 3/3s, they're going to lose both 3/3s, and that's just kind of a nice aggressive spot to be in, where like you're just going to be getting ahead in these little increments, and then you're just going to kill your opponent with like the burn spell off the top, because your opponent isn't ever going to be in a position where they're able to pressure you back. Then next up we've got Treachery, which is what's leading me to believing that this is not just to build an a Stone Scar aggro deck, but a Stone Scar mid-range deck. Because this is quite a nice market card, Treachery. So previously it was look your opponent's hand, discard a creature from it, they take 2 damage, or deal 2 damage to them, whichever markets with spell power. But now it's discard a unit or a site, which gives it a lot more sort of utility. And if your opponent now goes to the market, you can market for this to get their market card more reliably. So maybe they're getting something like Cerso or Sheltering Rider, but if they get like a site like Diesel's Office, you get to strip Diesel's Office. That's absolutely huge. Stripping Palace is huge. If you're playing this in the main deck and your opponent, like, is playing FGS, they mark it on turn 3, you fire this off, you look at the hand, you go, well, I'm having Rolex Memorial. Maybe you change your mind, but it's like, actually, I don't want to play against that Rizza or that Vara. But now you've got more options because you can play this card, where previously it was really narrow. Because, like, Sabotage is, most of our cards are spells, realistically. We play a lot of units, obviously, but spells, I feel like, are more impactful than the ones that you want to take for cheap. And this, now we don't take units or sites, just brings it up in power level with Sabotage. So it says it like Flame Blast was once a defining direct damage spell, and it was, and it fell by the wayside when the power surge change happened, where it ended up doing like 1 less damage. I think after that change, I don't know if I was like fully aware of the change at the time. I was like started playing casually, but it dealt like 1 less damage. I was like, oh, what's going on? It's it's awful. And yeah, Treachery see an occasional play. It has, you know, every now and then you've tried it, but it's just missed like too often because it's just super narrow. Like. And then finally, there's some nerfs. And I'm kind of sad about a few of these. So Red Canyon Smuggler is now 2-1 instead of a 2-2. That's kind of good. I want to snowball this. Like, Red Canyon Smuggler is properly tedious to play in sometimes. Your opponent just like puts a plate on it, and then it's a 7-7. It's just hard to get through. Well, it's a 14-7, really. Hidden Road Smuggler, I think this being a 2-2 now means that if there is an aggressive deck, like, this still trades for something. But it doesn't just, like, stonewall you. So if you're like there with, like, Snowcross Yeti, whatever other 2-1s you're playing, it actually trades with one of them. Instead of just being a 2-3 that just, like, blocks one of your things, you gain 2 life, kills a thing, you know. It's just, like, the game sort of, like, spirals out of control because then after that turn, they get to, like, hold up Defiance or play Vara, and then you're in real trouble. Because, like, it's not long. That's not much of a bridge between like Rizan and Rizan with lifesteal, and then you just like the game's over. So I'm sort of glad that got a little bit of nerf. I actually really liked it as a 3-3 because I felt like it was, you know, it was a good aggressive card rather than just like a defensive one. But then we all played it defensively, which is probably what it should be because it is a sort of a lifesteal unit. And then Great Valley Smuggler. So that's now a 2-2 that gets +2/+2 if you have a relic. Cool. I've just well, if I show you my taskbar, I'm just about to edit a deck that was playing for these Great Valley Smugglers with just Power Stones to sort of boost it up. So now I've got like a 3-cost 2-2 on my deck. Cool. Wanted the 4-4 because it was able to pressure sites and sort of defend me effectively. But yeah, I guess with a relic, which is what they want. They want you to have a relic with this. Like, I don't get the flavour or the style of this card. Honestly, I don't like it as a card because I think that compared to the other smugglers, it's like the least interesting. It's just basically telling you what to do. It's just like play me with relics. I mean, I guess Red Canyon Smuggler kind of does it. It's like play me with weapons. I'm good with weapons. I've got double damage. But I guess it's just like a 4-1 for free now. And this is a 2-2 that can become a 4-4. But it's the floor on this is much lower than it was, and the ceiling's the same. So yeah, so obviously like FJS decks, I've just played like both of these. I think that we need to now be careful, and maybe we need to preemptively nerf the next set of smugglers so they come out slightly weaker. That's going to be kind of bad because then we don't get to play them powerful, and you know we're going to look at them and go, like, oh, these are much worse than the others. But it just saves us because FJS is just going to play. If it could play 12 merchants, it probably will, and now maybe it'll play 10, and it'll play a full play set of the 2 good ones, and then 2 of the other ones just to make sure it's got loads of access to its market. Probably keep putting things in there for like fate abilities or whatever. But yeah, Great Valley Smuggler was pushed. So there's some more nerfs, and these are cards that, I mean, the Shotgun Grinder seems kind of nonsense. It's gone back to being a 0-4, so it does die to Runehammer again. I think Runehammer is kind of good and bad against Palace because Withstand makes everything too big to care about Runehammer. Just like at all. Like, it just doesn't care anymore. It's got +4/+4. Like, what's your 4-0 weapon doing? It's just not doing anything. Jonah Hill being a 3-3, that's largely irrelevant. I bet Luis is not happy about that, as Jonah Hill was their favourite card. I'd like to see maybe the Jonah Hill cost 1 less so you can actually see it in play, because often when I was playing Jonah Hill, I'd just discard the Jonah Hill and just keep the snowball. Like, I'd put the Jonah Hill in the market, I'd never actually put it in play. Like, now you put it in play more often because you have Palace, you'd play it on 5, then you play Palace and Withstand this, or just like whatever. But the difference between, like, I don't know, what is it going to be, an 8-8 to a 7-7 with Withstand? It's probably very minor. I don't think Jonah Hill same with Chope, like, the body never mattered. Like, it was never the reason you put that card in your deck. Like, cool, you also have a dragon at some point, but it wasn't really why it was in there. It was in there because I just keep putting it in and out of the market and keep getting these tokens, like, to draw cards with. And Shogun Raga, yeah, it's kind of a nuisance. I thought, honestly, with Fari being around, this card was dead. I guess Palace has brought it back because now you can just give it the stats, even though its ages can be popped. But yeah, I guess that's it. So if these go up tonight, and I've still got like spare time in the office, I'll hopefully be able to build like a deck and make a video, because I'll probably like to play like an Argenpot mid-range deck. I think that'd be kind of cool. I'm looking forward to getting the Stone Scar sort of like mid-range deck. I'd be looking forward to playing that. And maybe we could even do stuff like put a Jack in the market just as like, here's my big whammy. That'd be really cool. Or maybe have like the main deck and like play Vara to get Jack back. Just like a couple of little buffs that just sort of like bring us back to being like, yeah, this card's actually like, well, this deck's actually potentially a thing. You can play it again. I like those. I like these buffs and nerfs. Like, when we got like the 2-4, the lady who makes scorpion traps. I can't remember that card's name. Also, I just like can't remember cards names. If you get to my age, you just won't remember anything. But that used to make like 3 Scorpion Traps in like the top 100 cards of your opponent's deck. Now it puts 5, which it's kind of minor. I mean, like there's been games where that's just like, RNG's just like won the game on the spot because like I played against Skycrag and I've been like, oh, I hope I hit all of these next turn. It's like so I just attack with that and then just like hit 3 Scorpion Traps on like the first turn and they can never attack for the rest of the game. It's fantastic. But those buffs and nerfs that just draw your attention, just like, hey, players, this card exists. Those are fine. I like them. Time for a drink, you know. But yeah, overall, I'm happy with them. I was kind of hyped for this, for the enough buffs and nerfs or whatever. I thought it was going to be more, honestly. But this is sort of enough to be going on from now. Maybe we don't want to be overloaded with buffs and nerfs because we are getting a new set. Basically, I think it's next month. I hope it's soon, like early next month. That'd be really good for me. I've left like the Discord. I did try to bring this up in the Reddit because I was on the Reddit. I made a post. I was like, "Oh, cool! I heard that we're going to be doing sets more often now. This is good." I've not really been in touch with the Eternal community since the promo card came out. I got a bunch of nerds commenting it like, "Ah, triggered." I was like, "Well, I mean, I'm not. I'm just making a factual statement that is when I've not been around since." But okay, cool. So now I'm not in many of the channels that you find out about community stuff. A lot of stuff I found out was like sort of like second hand because I'm in Yottabyte's Discord because that was kind of cool. You know, it's pretty chill. There's not super millions of people in there talking, so it's kind of slow, easy to keep up to date with because like there's like an hour or two a day where people are actually talking. So it's just sort of like a nice one to be in. It's not super busy like the main Eternal one where it's like never stops. So you just like never keep up with it. But yeah, this is where I find out all my news now. I don't really find it through real channels because we don't really do that, really. Like, I'd like to see all this news all the time on like the Eternal Twitter. Like, oh boy, if I could look after that account for them, I would love to. But I guess they've got like someone in marketing doing it. But yeah, overall, a lot of positive changes for the game. The big World Tournament's coming soon. That's going to be the last one. I'm probably not going to bother. I might bother for like the last one, just try it. I think I played Mindlink in like one of the qualifiers because I had like the free time for it and nearly made it with Mindlink, which was pretty sick. I think I trailed off in like the last 3 games where I would have been able to get in, but yeah, it was only like sort of playing for the memes anyway and playing Mindlink. So all that Mindlink deck was actually pretty good because it just like absolutely went ham on like reanimated decks or anything like that. And reanimate was really big at the time, as well as just like Rain of Frogs. Just like 4 of them was kind of good at the time because people were also just playing like slow decks in general, so you were able to get a lot of value off my like a 4 cost to transform your hand, like draw 4 cards was pretty cool. Yeah, other than that, thanks for watching. If this doesn't go out soon, probably make a video with Stone Scar tomorrow if I get a chance. But other than that, thanks for watching, and I will see you around. Also, I'm back, so I'll see you more often.